Welcome to the 2017-2018 school year. My name is Brad Jadarski. I'm the Oshkosh West Activities Coordinator, and I'll be narrating you through the 2017-2018 Athletic Code meeting presentation. Competing in athletics is a privilege, not a right. You are a student athlete first and foremost, and academics come first. As a result, student athletes have higher behavioral and academic expectations. The Oshkosh West Athletic Department vision is to educate, inspire, and shape the next generation of leaders through commitment, competition, and service to the team, our school, and our community. The athletic department has 5 core values that help guide everything we do and all decisions we make. We expect our student athletes and coaches to model and live our athletic department core values. 1, do the right thing. 2, strive for greatness. 3, lead with a purpose. 4, promote the Wildcat culture. And 5, raise the bar. We also created a Wildcat Creed for our student athletes. We ask our student athletes to live the creed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Part of being a Wildcat student athlete in the Wildcat way is we challenge you to be an 11. And that incorporates some of our core values, one of which is doing the right thing all of the time. Lead with a purpose. Set the example for others. Promote the Wildcat culture. Show your Wildcat pride. As part of a expectation being a student athlete in the Oshkosh West Athletic Department, weight training is a critical aspect of all of our programs that we offer. We have worked hard to create a common program for all sports, which is tailored to meet the needs of each of our individual programs. Again, weight training will be part of your daily practice each and every season that you participate in. Our core values that reflect the importance of that are striving for greatness. Hopefully, you'll take your conditioning and weight training to a year-round effort. Raise the bar. Encourage others to do the same. Physical fitness helps you compete at the top level as a student athlete. And lead with a purpose. Set the example for others. Show others that you are modeling our core values and setting the example. Again, we're encouraging our student athletes to be a leader. Many parts of the Oshkosh West High School building will show or have visual representation of our vision statement, core values, and Wildcat Creed. Again, we encourage our student athletes to live and model the creed 24/7. Ascension or Affinity Sports Medicine provides athletic training services to Oshkosh West High School. We have one athletic trainer who is new to us this year. Tyler Van Sistine was a familiar face for part of last year. He filled in during one of our previous trainers' leaves, but now Tyler will be the full-time athletic trainer at Oshkosh West High School. His email address and phone number is found on this slide, and if you ever have an issue that requires his attention, he will do a great job and be more than happy to help you. The next few slides contain athletic training information that's vital for parents and student athletes to be familiar with. The athletic training room hours are from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. Licensed athletic trainers practice under the direction and in collaboration with physicians and other healthcare professionals. They evaluate and treat injuries and provide rehab to the injured. They provide immediate care in the event of a game injury, and as needed, they will provide physician referral and will communicate with the parents and coaching staff about this process. Our athletic trainer also works extremely closely with all of the coaches in our Wildcat athletic programs. Concussion information is critical for you to be aware of both as a student athlete and parent. A concussion is a brain injury, and all concussions are serious. Concussions can occur in any sport. They can be caused by a direct blow to the head or an injury to the body resulting in an indirect force to the head. Any suspected concussion should be referred to the licensed athletic trainer. There are many varied symptoms that can describe a concussion, and not all are visible. These include headaches, dizziness, confusion, nausea, light and sound sensitivity, difficulty concentrating, memory loss, feeling slowed down, and personality changes can all be indicators of a possible head injury. Student athletes should never try to hide the fact that you have a concussion. Our licensed athletic trainer will perform a preseason impact concussion test to get a baseline of the athlete's neurological functions. All freshmen and juniors will be impact tested, and anyone who didn't take the test last year or is new to the school. Should the athlete sustain a suspected concussion, this pre-evaluation can be utilized by a physician to help determine the proper course of treatment for return to play. Only contact sports are tested. Any non-contact sport athlete may be tested upon request of the licensed athletic trainer. Non-impact sports include swimming, cross country, tennis, track, and golf. Parents and coaching staff will be contacted in the case of a suspected concussion. Athletes should be seen as soon as possible by the athletic trainer, then referred to a physician for further evaluation. All athletes will be kept out of all practices and activities while presenting any symptoms. When the athlete is asymptomatic, the parents will need a physician's clearance for the return to practice or play. Once cleared by the physician, the licensed athletic trainer will run the athlete through a gradual return to play protocol. Coaches are instructed to use the following procedure with student athletes and concussions. When in doubt, sit them out. Meaning, if a coach has any doubt a student athlete has a concussion, the coach will remove the student athlete from practice or competition to be seen by the athletic trainer. Parents and athletes are required to turn in a signed concussion information sheet once per school year before they can participate in any sport, including beginning practice. Additional information on concussions can be found at the WIAA website below. Pre-existing medical conditions. It is very important the licensed athletic trainer and coaching staff are notified by the parents and athletes about any prior or current health conditions. If an athlete carries an inhaler or an EpiPen, make sure the coaching staff and teammates are made aware of this and where to find it in the case of an emergency. Again, please share any pre-existing medical conditions with your coach and licensed athletic trainer. Hydration. Athletes should consume at least 16 to 20 ounces of water 2 hours before practice and at least 8 ounces in the 15 minutes prior to practice beginning. Athletes should regularly consume water during breaks in practice even if they do not feel thirsty. 48 ounces or roughly 2 normal bottles of water can be taken in during the course of an hour of strenuous practice. After exercise, for every pound of water lost, athletes need to ingest 16 to 20 ounces of water. This is 1 bottle of water for every pound lost. Additional health information for parents and student athletes. In order to participate in any sport at Oshkosh West, a valid physical is required. For the 2017-18 school year, the school must have on file a physical dated on or after April 1, 2016. And any physical between April 1 of 2016 and March 31st of 2017 will also require the WIAA alternate year card, which is a parent permission form. A reminder, student athletes do not get to practice until they have a valid physical on file with the school. A physical is good for 2 school years if it is on or after April 1 of a given year. At this time, I'm going to ask you to grab your Oshkosh Area School District Co-Curricular Handbook, which is green in color, and go to the WIAA Performance Enhancing and Banned Substance Information Sheet, which is found in the appendix of the Co-Curricular Handbook. Please note, it is a student-athlete's responsibility to check with the appropriate or designated athletic staff or school official before using any substance or supplement. Any substance chemically related to a banned or discouraged ingredient is also considered a banned or discouraged substance. There is no complete list of banned or discouraged substances. Do not rely on the list to rule out any supplement ingredient. Check with your athletic department staff prior to using any supplement. Banned substances. Do not use drugs that are illegal or could be harmful if taken in excess amount. Possession and or use violates the WIAA code, which means it would be an athletic code of conduct violation. Please note those banned substances. However, parents and student athletes, medications prescribed by a health provider used by the individual they have been prescribed to and used as prescribed should not be viewed as violating the controlled substance/supplemental provisions of the school's code. Please note discouraged substances. Possession and or use may violate school district policy or code. Again, student athletes should not be using substances found under the discouraged list as well. Please familiarize yourself with the WIAA Performance Enhancing and Banned Substance List. When in doubt, ask for additional clarification from the athletic department before taking any supplement or performance enhancing item. At this time, I'm going to ask that you open to the front of the OASD Co-Curricular Handbook. Again, it is green in color. My contact information, both email and phone number, are found on the cover. Parents and student athletes, if you ever have a question about anything at all regarding the OASD Co-Curricular Handbook, please feel free to see me, Mr. Jadarski, or contact me. I'm located in the main office at Oshkosh West High School. Note on the bottom of the slide is the WIAA website address. We are a member of the WIAA and as such are required to follow all rules and regulations that are set aside or provided by the membership. All of the WIAA informational items can be found online at their website. Please note on pages 3 to 4 of the district's co-curricular handbook is information regarding participating in a sport at Oshkosh West High School. There are a number of things required. First, a physical form must be on file with the school and it must be a valid physical, meaning it's dated on or after April 1 of 2016. An alternate year form or card may be required. Again, that is required, which is a parent permission form of any physical between April 1 of 2016 and March 31st of 2017. Parents and student athletes are required to sign and turn in an agreement of parent and athlete form and insurance waiver form. It is a green form this year. The parent and student athlete must sign and date the front. The parent must flip the form over, fill out the emergency contact information on the back, and sign and date the form. Payment of the athletic fee, if applicable, is also needed. The athletic emergency form is the back of the agreement of parent and athlete form. Student athletes will also bring home a pink emergency form after they start their season. Parents, please fill that form out, have your son or daughter turn it into their coach, as that authorizes the coach to provide emergency medical treatment in the event something happens during the course of the season. Students and parents are also required to sign and turn in concussion acknowledgement form. It is a white packet. The top sheet must be signed and dated by the parent and student athlete. Student athletes must also view the athletic department's code of conduct presentation, which you are currently doing now. When you're done viewing this presentation, you must fill out the form below the video link, hit the submit button, and that will populate to a spreadsheet. So for student athletes to be cleared to start practice, they must have a valid physical on file and alternate year card if needed, turned in a signed agreement of parent and athlete form, turned in a signed concussion acknowledgement form by both the parent and student athlete, and viewed the athletic department online code of conduct presentation. Payment of the athletic fee is also needed if applicable. Regarding the athletic fee for the 2017 school year, the OASD athletic fee is $50 per sport, a $100 individual limit per school year, with a $175 family limit per school year. Please note, if you participate in the district's free or reduced meals program and you check the box on the bottom of page 1 of the agreement of parent and athlete form, the athletic fee can be waived. However, you must check that box so that we can check with food service to verify your participation in the district's free and reduced meal program. We ask that all athletic fees are paid as soon as possible, preferably at registration or at the school bank shortly thereafter or shortly after you start participating in your sport. Note on pages 5 and 6, information regarding if a athletic fee would be reimbursed if certain criteria are met. Familiarize yourself with that information. On pages 6 and 8 of the athletic handbook is information regarding academic requirements and academic eligibility. Eligibility for any 9-week period for a student athlete shall be determined by a student's grades from the second grade reporting period of first and second semester and/or the past semester marks, both at first semester and year end. Also, a student must meet school and DPI requirements defining a full-time student and have received no failing grades, including incompletes in the most recent grade reporting period, in order to be eligible. For the start of the school year, we check the second semester grades of students from last year unless they're an incoming freshman. Incoming freshmen start out academically eligible. We will then check grades at the 10-week grade reporting period of first semester, the 10-week grade reporting period of second semester, and second semester grades. Again, a student must have no failing marks in order to be academically eligible, and a student must be a full-time student. Regarding fall student athletes on page 7, in eligibility status for students in fall WIAA offered sports in which the date of earliest allowed competition is before the first day students are in class is as follows. Students with one or more than one failing grade, So for students with more than one failing grade in fall WIAA sports, the minimum ineligibility period shall be the lesser of 21 consecutive calendar days beginning with the date of earliest allowed competition in a sport, or 1/3 of the maximum number of games or meets allowed in a sport, rounded up if 1/3 results in a fraction. Once classes start, students will be required to follow weekly grade academic checks. Students with one failing grade in fall WIAA sports, students shall be ineligible to participate in 1/5 of the scheduled games or meets in a sport, rounded up if 1/5 results in a fraction. However, student athletes in fall sports will be eligible to participate by the WIAA criteria for student athletes with more than one failing grade if the criteria for one failing grade results in a penalty that exceeds the penalty for more than one failing grade. For student athletes that are involved in sports after fall or after the first academic check with the start of the school year, should a student become academically ineligible with one failing grade, he or she may not participate in competitions or performances for a minimum of 7 consecutive school days and nights. The student may return to the competition or performance on the 8th school day, provided the student received at least a 2.5 grade point average in the most recent grade reporting period. If the student had a grade point average of less than 2.5 in the most recent grade reporting period, he or she must come to the activities coordinator's office to get an activities academic eligibility form. This form will list the student's current class load. The student must take the form to all of his or her teachers for signature and return it to the activities coordinator's office. To regain eligibility, the student must be passing in all courses or classes. This procedure of taking the form to the teacher must continue on a weekly basis throughout the season or until the student is no longer academically ineligible. So a student then must be passing every class every week if they are on a weekly grade check. On page 8 of the Co-Curricular Handbook is information regarding academic eligibility with more than one failing grade. So should a student become academically ineligible with more than one failing grade, he or she may not participate in competition or performances for a minimum of 15 consecutive school days and nights while the activity is in session. The student may return to competition or performance on the 16th school day, provided the student is passing all their classes. To regain eligibility, after 15 consecutive school days, the student must pick up the activities academic eligibility form from the activities coordinator. The student must take this form to all of his or her teachers for signature and return it to the activities coordinator's office. To regain eligibility, the student must be passing in all courses. The procedure of taking this form to teachers must continue each week throughout the season or until the student is no longer academically ineligible. The moral of the story here, students, is do the job in the classroom first and foremost. If you are academically ineligible and are required to do a weekly grade check, your eligibility to participate will vary from week to week. You would still be eligible to practice, but would not be eligible to compete unless you are passing each and every one of your classes each and every week if you are under the academic grade check policy. On pages 9 to 10 of the Athletic Department or Co-Curricular Handbook is information regarding illness, out-of-town travel, vacation, and other items. I want to mention the 3 found on this slide. First, regarding illness. Number 5 on page 9, a student must be present at all classes on the day of practice or competition to be eligible to participate. Only permission from school administration or the activities coordinator will permit a student to compete after missing classes. Students may not participate in any competition or performance or practice if they are out ill for any or all of the school day without permission from school administration or the activities coordinator. Please note, if a student is home ill and as a result a parent feels that they will be well enough to come back in the afternoon, we may grant the ability to practice or participate that day if the parent contacts the school in the morning and informs us of the situation. If a student athlete goes home for the second half of the day, they will not be eligible or able to participate in any practice or competition that evening. Out-of-town travel, number 7. A student who travels to an out-of-town contest with a school or team must return with the team. The only exception to this rule is if the student's parent is present at the out-of-town site, he or she may request that the student return with the parent. This request must be made in person by the parent to the coach or advisor in charge, and the parent will also have to sign off on a district form that they are taking their child or children. Each coach will have a copy of the district transportation form with them for events. It is important to note, the coach or advisor has the option whether or not to grant permission. Please note, the parent and the parent only can ask to take their child and their child only with them. The request must be made in person and they must sign the district form. On page 10, number 11 is information about vacations. At the discretion of each coach or advisor, when a student is absent due to being on vacation with his or her family upon returning to the team, that student will not be allowed to participate in competitions equal to 1/2 of the competitions the student missed. If the student is absent due to being on vacation with someone other than his or her family, the student will not be allowed to participate in whatever number of competitions were missed. 1 competition for each competition missed. Note, if a student misses only practices but not competitions due to being on vacation with either family or friends, this may impact playing time for the student upon his or her return from vacation. Students and their parents are encouraged to speak with their coach or advisor as soon as possible if they will miss any part of the season. Please note, number 11, the vacation policy is at the discretion of the coach. So each coach may do things a little differently. On the bottom of page 10 is information about the district-provided transportation. Number 15. Please note the district does not provide transportation for students to any practice sites and some home competition performance sites. In these situations, it is the responsibility of the student or parents and/or legal guardians to provide their own transportation. Please be aware of that. Also note, parents of student athletes, you are responsible for all information found within the district's co-curricular handbook. If you have any questions about anything, please ask Mr. Jadarski, the activities coordinator, or contact me regarding your question. On page 11 is information regarding the district's policy about use of cameras and/or other recording devices in locker rooms. Please review, read, and familiarize yourself with this information. Note, no images of a nude or partially nude person in the locker room may be captured, recorded, or transferred under any circumstance by any individual. On page 12 is information about student-athlete participation in club athletic programs while you're also a high school student-athlete. Number 16, the district understands that students may want to participate in club athletic programs during the school year during their high school sports season. As a result of this, the athletic departments would like to provide some guidance for parents and athletes concerning this issue due to the financial commitment associated with club athletic programs. The athletic departments have adopted the following policy for students and parents concerning club athletic programs during a student's high school sports season. Note, there is a policy for varsity athletes and a policy for non-varsity athletes. In both cases, clear communication with the head coach is required and encouraged. Note, in both cases, students will not be allowed to miss a high school scheduled practice or competition for a club athletic practice or competition, whether it be varsity or non-varsity student athletes. Also on page 12 and continuing on page 13 is information from the WIAA concerning non-school competition for student athletes. It is the philosophy of the WIAA that a student owes loyalty and allegiance to the school and team of which he or she is a member during the season of a given sport. Athletes may compete in not more than 2 non-school competitions with school approval, and that is key, school approval during each regular sports season, and that school approval must be in advance of any non-school participation. The contest or contests will not count against the individual maximum for the athlete in that sport. Non-school competition will not be allowed during the respective WIAA tournament series in a sport. Also note, it will be the school's decision whether or not to grant approval or not to participate. Also, a student becomes ineligible in a sport for the remainder of the season for competing in more than 2 non-school games, meets, or contests in the same sport during the season of practice and competition established by the school. Again, this is a sport-specific rule, meaning if you're in your volleyball season, you cannot participate in a non-school volleyball competition or scrimmage. Same sport is the key here. Again, please communicate with your coach regarding any non-school athletic participation that you as a student athlete want to be involved with. Pages 13 to 15 of the district's co-curricular handbook is found the Code of Conduct section. This is the behavioral section of the district's co-curricular handbook. It is very important that you read and review all of this information as well. The Code of Conduct is established for the best interest of the students and the team or activity. The Code of Conduct must be observed by all students throughout the calendar year, not only when the particular activity is not in season, but also when school is not in session. Please note, in all situations involving possible violations of the Code of Conduct, administrative discretion will determine whether or not there is an actual violation of the Code of Conduct. Student athletes, you were given the ability to think. We want you to make good choices. Please note, think about the decision you are about to make. Will it have an impact on my ability to continue to participate in athletics? If you find yourself in a tough spot, leave. Call a family member, call a friend. Don't be afraid to come forward and share with the activities coordinator, another school administrator, that you were hanging out with friends and this happened and you decided to leave. If you have nothing to hide, please let us know. We are reasonable people, and it makes it so much easier to believe you in that situation or instance than if we call you down to ask you what you were potentially doing at a particular spot when something behaviorally inappropriate was taking place. Note, a student must refrain from any conduct at any time that would reflect unfavorably on himself, herself, or the school. Conduct which would reflect unfavorably on a student or on the school includes, but is not limited to, all of the following. Letters A through R. Please familiarize yourself with those areas. I'm going to emphasize a few in particular. A, use, possession, buying, or selling of controlled substances, street drugs, illegal drugs, and/or performance-enhancing substances. Drug paraphernalia, including sale, possession, or use. B, use, possession, or purchase of alcoholic beverages. C, use, possession, or purchase of tobacco in any form. Note how tobacco is defined. Letter F, a criminal offense or a violation of a state statute or city county ordinance having a statutory counterpart. I, knowingly in the presence of alcohol, illegal drugs, and/or drug paraphernalia, meaning even if you're not drinking alcohol, using illegal drugs, tobacco, or drug paraphernalia, just being present when you know what's going on is a violation of the district's Code of Conduct. N, behavior or conduct which reflects unfavorably on a student. A very wide range of options exists under this area. For example, is the behavior you're involved with a poor reflection on the school or yourself or your team? Getting an in-school or out-of-school suspension could be construed as violating behavior or conduct which reflects unfavorably on a student. Are you involved in a behavior that potentially is illegal? Letter P, illegal or inappropriate use of the internet and/or electronic devices. Any posting or communication via social networking websites which disrupts either the educational or athletic environment is unacceptable. Don't be sending pictures on your cell phone of individuals that are naked. Don't be posting things on your website that are inappropriate that might be construed as bullying or harassing. Don't be sending inappropriate text messages, Instagram pictures, etc. You will be held accountable for what you send via social media if it ends up on a school administrator's desk. Letter Q, hosting a party. Any person who has a gathering at his or her home, property, or personal property, including car, boat, camper, campsite, etc., where alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or drug paraphernalia are permitted by such person to be used and or brought into the home, property, or personal property may be given a penalty at the higher level. Administrative discretion will determine the length of penalty. Violating that section has the potential to be a double consequence. R, supplying, bringing alcohol or drugs. Any person who brings, supplies alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or drug paraphernalia to another person or persons may be given a penalty at a higher level. Administrative discretion will determine the length of the penalty. In the event another individual engages in this behavior on behalf of the athlete, there will be a presumption that the other individual acted as an agent of the athlete, and the athlete will receive the same punishment as if the athlete had been the supplier. So, again, hosting a party, pretty self-explanatory. Don't be involved with it. Supplying or bringing alcohol or drugs to another possibility of getting a double consequence. Don't get involved with it. Don't ask a cousin. Don't ask an older brother or sister to do that, or a parent. Note on page 15, Code of conduct violations are cumulative during a student's high school career unless otherwise stated. As an example, a first-time offense in alcohol and a first-time offense in tobacco would become a second-time violation of the district's code of conduct in the alcohol tobacco area. Note, we have the possibility of simultaneous category consequences. Students may participate in simultaneous activities. However, if a student incurs a violation, he or she shall be penalized according to the code for each activity, such as a category A and B. If any or all activity seasons are taking place simultaneously, be aware you could get a consequence in 2 simultaneous activities, so be aware. Note, for penalties of the code of conduct violations on page 17, numbers 1 through 9, for those violations without a self-referral, a first-time category A violation is the suspension for 1/4 of the regular season or the equivalent of 1/4 of the regular season. The student may continue to practice at the discretion of school administration. The student must also complete a student assistance program or similar approved educational program in order to be reinstated. Note, for first-time offenders in the area of knowingly in the presence of alcohol, illegal drugs, and/or drug paraphernalia, there is a different first offense violation consequence. A second violation for category A, which is sports, suspension for an entire season or the equivalent of an entire season. Third violation, suspension for 1 full school year or the equivalent of 1 full school year. A fourth violation, the student loses the privilege to participate in all co-curricular activities during the remainder of his or her academic career in the district. On page 19, please note the definition of a self-referral. Honesty is rewarded by the district. A self-referral is if a student presents himself or herself to the activities coordinator at his or her school as a person who has violated the code of conduct in the areas numbered 1 through 5 below. 1. Use, possession, buying, or selling of controlled substances, street drugs, illegal drugs, and/or performance-enhancing substances, drug paraphernalia, including sale, possession, or use. 2. Use, possession, or purchase of tobacco in any form. 3. Use, possession, or purchase of alcoholic beverages. 4. Knowingly in the presence of alcohol, illegal drugs, and/or drug paraphernalia. 5. Acts of vandalism. Those are areas 1 through 5. So if a person utilizes a self-referral in one of those areas, the student will have his or her penalty reduced. For this to occur, the student must self-admit no later than the first school day after the violation has occurred, and the information cannot already have been shared with school administration from another source, meaning the first school day. Weekends don't count. However, if you violate the code, we encourage you to inform a school administrator, coach, or activities coordinator ASAP. Administration may grant an extension to the 1 school day provision due to extenuating circumstances. Students and their parents are strongly encouraged to self-report violations of the code of conduct during the summer months to the activities coordinator as soon as possible. Again, if you make a bad choice and violate the code, do the adult thing, the responsible thing, self-report. You get 1 school day, and we cannot already have been aware of this situation. but self-report as honesty is rewarded. On pages 20 and 21, here are the violations for Code of Conduct violations with the self-referral. Category A, suspension for 1/8 of the regular season or the equivalent of 1/8 of the regular season. The student may continue to practice at the discretion of school administration. The student must also complete a student assistance program or similar approved education program in order to be reinstated. Again, these are suspension consequences for a first violation with a self-referral. Note, for first-time offenders in the area of knowingly in the presence of alcohol, illegal drugs, and or drug paraphernalia, there is a different consequence for a first violation with a self-referral than a self-referral for a Category A violation, where you are using potentially one of those alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, drug paraphernalia. A second violation with a self-referral, and again, that refers to areas 1 through 5, as I mentioned on pages 19 and 20. A second violation for a Category A activity is suspension for 50% of the season or the equivalent of 50% of the season with the following requirements. 1, a 20-hour community service plan, and 2, meeting with the high school social worker or the district's ATODA coordinator and following through with any recommended course of action. For a third violation with a self-referral, Category A, suspension will be for 1 full school year. Fourth violation, the student loses the privilege to participate in all co-curricular activities during the remainder of his or her academic career in the district. Note, on pages 21 and 22, items number 10 through 14 are Code of Conduct violations that are cumulative within themselves only. 10, criminal offense or a violation of a city-county ordinance having a statutory counterpart. The significance of the violation will be evaluated and the suspension will be determined based on the severity of the offense. Number 11, acts of harassment, including hazing. Harassment and hazing has no place in the athletic area. Student athletes are encouraged to report any hazing or harassment to a coach or administrator as soon as possible. We challenge all student athletes to set the example, model the Wildcat way, and not be involved in that type of activity at all. On page 21, number 12, violation of student rules as described in the student school planner. The significance of the violation will be evaluated and the suspension will be determined based on the severity of the offense. 13, the recruitment of student athletes is a violation of the district's Code of Conduct. And 14, illegal or inappropriate use of the internet and or electronic devices. Any posting or communication via social networking websites which disrupts either the educational or athletic environment is unacceptable and is a violation of the district's Code of Conduct. On pages 22 and 23 are other items that are considered behavioral offenses, which also go with it the loss of participation privileges in athletics. These are considered more minor Code of Conduct violations, but they are still violations. Please familiarize yourself with items number 1 through 8. I want to mention a couple in particular. Number 4, acts of truancy. A student participating in activities or athletics will not be permitted to participate in the next scheduled contest whenever the student has had an unexcused absence from school unless administration grants permission to participate. Students, you are a student first and foremost. You need to be in class. If you're not in class due to being unexcused, there will be a consequence for you, and that is not being able to participate. Number 5, behavior or conduct which reflects unfavorably on a student. I previously covered that earlier in this presentation. 6, cheating. A first offense during one's high school career. The teacher involved will handle the situation in the classroom and will make contact with the activities coordinator, which is basically then a warning. 2, second offense during one's high school career and any additional offenses. The student will be referred to the activities coordinator for a behavioral offense or code of conduct violation. Note, for any first offense found to be especially serious, administration reserves the right to invoke a second offense consequence. Again, talk with your teacher so you are crystal clear regarding the expectations regarding homework and group work, regarding testing and the sharing of information and group assignments. Also, you're better off, students, if you procrastinate and let your homework or paper or test or studying for test go. You're better to just take the grade you got than to try to cheat, because you will get caught and suffer a consequence. Again, use your time wisely. Prepare yourself to be successful in the classroom. Number 8, failure to be a student in good standing. That is defined as you adhere to the high school code of student conduct, you adhere to your high school attendance and tardy policies, and you have no unserved detentions. If you have detentions at our checkpoints, it can result in losing the privilege or ability to participate in contests until those detentions are gone. Checkpoints for the 2017-18 school year include October 2nd, the start of each winter season, January 8th, the start of each spring sports season, and April 16th. Only administrative approval will allow a student to compete in co-curricular events if a student is not a student in good standing at each checkpoint. Also, student athletes, please note the minimum penalty for a code of conduct violation for any behavioral offense that results, or a code of conduct violation that results in a student athlete being suspended for any portion of the WIAA tournament competition is immediate disqualification of the student athlete for the remainder of the total tournament series in that sport. Please be aware of that as well. Again, students, you have the ability to make choices. Please make good choices. Remember, every choice you make has a consequence. If you lose the ability to participate, that opportunity will not come back. Again, if you find yourself in a jam, contact a family or friend, leave. Let us know that you left. Come forward. If you have nothing to hide, we are reasonable people. Let us know what happened. We will work through you with that. Again, please make good choices. Don't put yourself in a jam. The district's appeal process for code of conduct violations is found on page 25. The OASD administration is committed to providing students an opportunity to appeal any co-curricular code of conduct violation determinations, meaning any situation where we found the student athlete to have violated the code of conduct. Note the appeal process, which is found on page 25 and 26. I want to emphasize something under number 2. Appeals may be filed only in reference to whether there was a code violation or not. An appeal may not be filed to change a consequence. On pages 26 and 27 is information found regarding the district provided awards. Note, to qualify for an award, the athlete or student may not be suspended for any alcohol, tobacco, drugs, drug paraphernalia, performance enhancing substance, vandalism, criminal offense, or violation of a city county ordinance having a statutory counterpart, or other serious offense considered unbecoming of a student or athlete. However, if an athlete or student refers to the activities coordinator for a first-time offense in the area of either alcohol, tobacco, drugs, drug paraphernalia, performance enhancing substance, vandalism, and possibly criminal offense or violation of a city county ordinance having a statutory counterpart, the athlete or student may be eligible to receive any school award earned during that season. Again, honesty is rewarded. Please note the district's all-conference guideline. Again, varsity student athletes. Any OASD student athlete suspended from participation for an athletic contest due to a code of conduct violation in the areas of alcohol, tobacco, drugs, drug paraphernalia, performance enhancing substance, vandalism, criminal offense, or violation of a city county ordinance having a statutory counterpart, or other serious offense considered unbecoming of a student athlete will not be eligible for all conference in any conference in the sport where the suspension is initiated. Again, hopefully another deterrent to not making a poor choice. Also, if you are a very, very skilled and gifted student athlete, remember, if you're not eligible for all conference, you're not eligible for all region, which means you're not eligible for all state, which means you might not be eligible to participate in an all-star contest for your sport. Again, we want you to make good choices. On page 28 is the district's communication policy. Note, the activities department encourages students, parents, and coaches and advisors to open the line of communication using the following understandings, and they are listed and numbered 1 through 10. Please note, negative approaches to problem solving do nothing but make the environment for all more destructive. Oshkosh West's position is we encourage your student athlete to have a conversation with their coach if they have questions or concerns about anything relating to their involvement in that program. If a parent or student athlete asks an administrator to have a meeting, the first question we'll ask is, have you had that conversation first with the coach? If not, that is where you'll be directed. If after that meeting takes place, you still have questions or concerns, the coach and administrator and the parent and or student athlete will all sit down to try to work to an amicable and agreeable solution to any issue that is brought forward. On pages 28 and 29 is information regarding the district's sportsmanship expectations. Again, we ask all student athletes and fans to be excellent role models and ambassadors for Oshkosh West High School, the Oshkosh Area School District, and the city of Oshkosh. Remember, be humble in defeat, or humble in victory, and humble in defeat. Note on page 29, for spectators, one sentence sums it up best. Be a fan, not a fanatic. On page 30 are additional resources available for student athletes and parents. Again, I strongly encourage all parents to bookmark and students the foxvalleyassociation.org website. From that webpage, you can print any schedule for any of the sports we have. You can sign up for free notifications under the Notify Me area. Those directions are found on page 30 of the handbook, where you can get email or text messages for any cancellations or reschedules. It's a free service. Also, the FEA has a website. It's feasports.net, where you can find a wealth of information regarding all of the sports in our conference and all of the schools in our conference. Also, I encourage parents and students to follow me on Twitter. I do like to tweet all the good things that are going on and updates to our competitions throughout the course of the school year. You can follow me at OWHS Activities. One final note for parents and students on the bottom of page 30, a notice of surveillance. The school is using video surveillance and electronic monitoring to observe, monitor, and or record the behavior and activity of all persons on school property or grounds or participating in school functions. Now I'm going to ask you to go to the appendix section of the co-curricular handbook. After page 30, you'll note eligibility information for athletes. Note the things that would make you not eligible. Also on the next page is the 2017-18 High School Athletic Eligibility Information Bulletin from the WIAA. I strongly encourage parents and student athletes to read all of the information found within the High School Eligibility Bulletin. This is information that you need to know from the WIAA that's important so that you stay eligible. Note, at the bottom of page 4, there's an area that says Parent-Athlete Rules of Eligibility Sign-Off for 17-18. You do not have to turn that in. When you sign and date the High School Agreement of Parent and Athlete form, or the Student-Athlete Agreement of Parent and Athlete form, which is the green sheet this year, you are taking care of this requirement. So I'd like to start in the High School Athletic Eligibility Information Bulletin on the first page under age. A student shall be ineligible for interscholastic competition if he or she reaches his or her 19th birthday before August 1st of any given school year. Note that. Also note, I'm going to cover some of the areas that I think are very, very important. Parents and student athletes are responsible for all of this information. Regarding residence, again on the bottom of page 1 of the bulletin, a full-time student, whether an adult or not, is eligible for varsity interscholastic competition only at the school within whose attendance boundaries his or her parents reside within a given school district. Note the additional provisions, A through J. On the second page of the bulletin, under transfers, a full-time student may be afforded up to 8 consecutive semesters of interscholastic eligibility upon entry into grade 9. Transferring schools at any time may result in restrictions being imposed on eligibility, or in some cases denial of eligibility. For the purpose of this rule, attendance at one day of school and or attendance at one athletic practice shall determine beginning of the school year. These additional provisions relate to transfer cases. Note A through G. And on the next page, H through M. I want to emphasize a couple in particular. A student who transfers from any school into a member school after the 6th consecutive semester following entry into grade 9 shall be ineligible for competition at any level for one calendar year, but may practice unless the transfer is made necessary by a total and complete change in residence by the parent. The calendar year, 365 days, will be determined from a student's first day of attendance at the new school. Letter B, open enrolled and or tuition paying students entering 9th and or 10th grade at the beginning of the school year and who are within the first 4 consecutive semesters of high school will be afforded unrestricted eligibility provided all their rules governing student eligibility are met. C, open enrolled and or tuition paying students entering 11th grade are restricted to non-varsity opportunities for one calendar year. D, open enrolled and or tuition paying students entering 12th grade as transfer students are ineligible to compete at any level for one calendar year but may practice. On the third page of the bulletin, H, district policies with respect to intra-district transfer do not supersede WIAA transfer rules in situations involving post-6th semester transfers. Intra-district transfers occurring after the 6th consecutive semester following entry into grade 9 result in the student being ineligible for competition at any level for one calendar year, 365 days beginning with the first day of attendance at the new school, but they may practice. Again, we are a multi-district high school, so that rule does apply. Again, if you are considering transferring schools at any time, I strongly encourage you to talk with me, Mr. Jadarski, so I can provide you with as much information as possible. Note on the middle of page 3 of the bulletin, training and conduct. A student athlete must follow his or her school's code of conduct or training rules on a year-round basis. Note A through H. I want to particularly mention D. A student athlete who violates any part of the school or WIAA's code of conduct resulting in suspension for any portion of WIAA-sponsored tournament competition must be immediately declared ineligible for the remainder of the tournament series in that sport. During the WIAA tournament, an ineligible athlete may not suit up. On the bottom of page 3 of the bulletin, on top of page 4 is information about amateur status. Please make sure you read all areas lettered A through E. Note, a student athlete must be an amateur in all recognized sports of this association in order to compete in any WIAA sport. Letter A student athlete may not accept, receive, or direct to another reimbursement in any form of salary, cash, or share of a game or season proceeds for athletic accomplishments, such as being on a winning team, being selected for the school varsity team, or being a place winner in an individual tournament, etc. Or examples. B, a student athlete, this is new, may receive a medal, cup, trophy, or plaque from the sponsoring organization, regardless of cost. School mementos valued not more than $200. An award not valued more than 100 retail for participation in an athletic contest in a WIAA recognized sport. And a student athlete may retain non-school competition apparel worn by the student as part of the team uniform. Again, it must be the team uniform, not the warm-up, not a hat, but the team uniform. Again, that is new. Letter B is new. Letter C, a student athlete may not receive compensation or benefit directly or indirectly for the use of name, picture, and or personal appearance as an athlete because of ability, potential, and or performance as an athlete. This includes receiving free or reduced rates on equipment, apparel, camps, clinics, instruction, and competitive opportunities that are not identical for any other interested students. Meaning, you couldn't get a discount on track shoes just as a track athlete. That discount would have to be available to any interested high school student. Also, student athletes and parents, please do not let an organization or business use your name or photo, likeness, etc. in any way that would be used to promote that organization or business. Letter D, a student athlete may not be identified with or without permission as an athlete, provide endorsement as an athlete, or appear as an athlete in the promotion of a commercial, advertisement, and or profit-making event, item, plan, or service. Again, I previously mentioned that. And on the top of page 4 of the bulletin, E, a student athlete may not participate in school athletics or in sports activities outside the school under a name other than his or her own. Again, amateur status violations are very, very significant and can result in the loss of athletic participation for a significant amount of time or for a student athlete's entire high school career. When in doubt, don't take anything. Don't let somebody use your name, your likeness, a picture of you. Ask the activities coordinator. I'm here to help you in any way, shape, or form. Again, familiarize yourself with A, B, C, D, and E. Sports activities outside of school. On page 4 of the bulletin. Athletes may compete in not more than 2 non-school competitions with school approval, and that's prior school approval, before competing during each regular sports season. The contest will not count against the individual maximum for the athlete in that sport. Non-school competition will not be allowed during the respective WIAA tournament series in a sport. Violations of this rule results in loss of eligibility for the remainder of the season, including the WIAA tournament series. Note all of the information found under A, B, C, D, E, and F. I want to mention a couple in particular. A, WIAA rules do not prevent athletes from practicing with non-school teams or from receiving private skill instruction during the school season. However, they may not participate officially or unofficially in more than 2 non-school competitions or practices, including scrimmages against other teams. Note, if you are practicing in a non-school program or participating, please talk with the coach of your high school season because of the club sport policy and so that everyone is on the same page. Parents and students, note C, a student athlete or his or her parents must pay the fee for specialized training or instruction such as camps, clinics, and similar programs. You must pay a full fee. It cannot be paid by someone else, and it cannot be a reduced fee. You must pay the same fee any other student would be paying that's participating in that event. Letter E, a student athlete must not participate in an all-star game or similar contest except for summertime activities within the same league or program or in which a team is selected to represent a league in postseason play. Some postseason all-star opportunities may be permitted for 12th graders who have completed high school eligibility in a particular sport. Check with your AD to be certain. Again, parents and student athletes, if you have questions at all about anything regarding WIAA rules and regulations or anything found in the high school eligibility bulletin provided by the WIAA, please contact Mr. Jadarski for additional information. Again, additional resources found after high school eligibility bulletin include, as previously mentioned, the WIAA Performance Enhancing and Banned Substance List. Please familiarize yourself with that. From the National Federation of High Schools is a Parent or Guardian's Guide to Concussions. This is a very, very helpful and informative sheet. Remember, a concussion is a brain injury. It is a very serious thing. Parents, on page 2 of the Parent's Guide to Concussion, know the signs and symptoms to look for. Student athletes never try to hide the fact that you have a concussion. When in doubt, the coaches will sit you out. The next appendix from the National Federation is information about hazing. Hazing is defined as any humiliating or dangerous activity expected of a student to belong to a group, regardless of their willingness to participate. Some practices associated with high school hazing carry the potential for serious bodily harm or even death. These practices may include tattooing, piercing, head shaving, branding, sleep deprivation, physical punishment, paddling or red bellying, kidnapping, consuming unreasonable or unacceptable foods or beverages, being deprived of personal hygiene and or inappropriate sexual behavior. Hazing and or harassment is not tolerated at Oshkosh West, and it is illegal. If you feel you have been hazed, harassed, or bullied, please contact your school coach, a teacher, and a school administrator. As a student athlete, please set the tone. Please set the example. Live the Wildcat way. Respect, responsibility, and safety. Be a leader. If you see something going on that you feel isn't right or has the potential to be considered harassment, bullying, or hazing, do the responsible thing. Stop, interject, tell somebody that behavior is wrong and inappropriate, report it. Parents, the next informational sheet available for you from the National Federation is a tool regarding positive sport parenting, which includes a self-assessment and then a self-assessment results sheet. I encourage you to take that exam honestly and see where you score. Remember, be a fan, not a fanatic. Student athletes want to win, coaches want to win. However, not everybody gets to be a starter, not everybody gets to play as much as they want. It's a team effort. Together, everyone achieves more. If you have aspiration of competing in athletics beyond high school, student athlete and parents must be aware of and familiar with the NCAA Eligibility Center. Please see your guidance counselor and work with them to make sure you're on the right academic track to be academically eligible if you participate in athletics beyond high school at an NCAA Division I or Division II institution. If you are a transfer student, meaning you are brand new to the Oshkosh Area School District, it is imperative that you contact the activities coordinator. My email and phone number are found in the screen to make sure that you are going to be eligible. No transfer student is allowed to compete or practice until we know they are eligible to begin participation. Some information about the locker room. The athletic department provides locks for lockers in the varsity locker room. It is expected that student athletes utilize the varsity locker room, utilize the lock we provide, and lock up your valuables. Don't leave anything unlocked at any time. Also, when your season is done, even if you participate or will be participating in a sport the next season, we need you to clean out your locker as soon as your season is done. You will be assigned a new locker as we need to clean those lockers after each and every sports season. Again, lock up your stuff, lock up your stuff, lock up your stuff. I am very pleased to report that the Oshkosh West Weight Room Project has come to a substantial point of completion. Below this slide is a photo of what this new asset looks like. The aesthetic piece will be completed before the start of school. We're still looking for donations to help create an Acorn Fund and purchase additional rehabilitation equipment, but I want to personally thank anyone that did anything either financially or word of mouth or help promote our Raise the Bar project. Our sincere thank you from Oshkosh West High School to everyone that helped make this dream a reality. This is now going to be a facility that each and every student at Oshkosh West can feel very proud about and utilize to help them reach their optimal level of physical fitness. Parents, The Oshkosh West Booster Club is an organization that does a tremendous amount of things to help support and promote our athletic programs at Oshkosh West. Each and every sport will be asked to work concession events throughout the course of the school year. When you get that email or phone call or text message to help out, please do your part and help work in the concession stand. Sport reps are assigned for each of our programs. That is really someone who's actively involved in attending meetings, distributing information, and working closely with the head coach of each particular program. If that's something that interests you, please contact the head coach of the sport your child is participating in. Also, we encourage all parents, no matter what level of involvement you have, to come and attend the Oshkosh West Booster Club meetings. We meet once in August, in the middle of the month, and then the first Wednesday, typically of each month at 6:30 in the O room. Again, please come, get involved in the Booster Club. They do great things for our student athletes at Oshkosh West, and they can't do what they need to do without your help. This concludes the 2017-2018 Athletic Code Meeting presentation. I want to thank you for your time in viewing this. I want to wish all of you the best of luck this school year. Make it a great year. Be an 11. I challenge each and every one of you to do the best you can to raise the bar, do the right thing, promote the Wildcat culture, and encourage others to do their best. Again, lead with a purpose, strive for greatness. Best of luck to you, and if you have questions about anything at all found in the video, please contact Mr. Jadarski at the phone number or email on the cover of the green Co-Curricular Handbook, or find me in the main office. When you are done viewing this presentation, please make sure you fill out the form below the video and hit submit, as it is required. This video presentation is required to begin practicing, and you do not get credit until you fill out the form and hit submit. Go Wildcats!